Hello mate. I'm Dr. Wallaby, a professor of religious studies from Sydney University. Mr. Roughton has invited me to host this lecture on the Protestant Reformation. Here's a quick preview of what is coming up.
One of them is nailing something to the door of the cathedral.
Stay in Wonderland, and I show you how
Man, Mr. Roughton always has the coolest music. The Reformation happened at the same time as the Renaissance, and it was also about change. Only this time it was changing religion.
It's gonna have to be a different man. Time may change me, but I can't.
It is important to remember how powerful the church was. People did pretty much anything they said. If they told you to just start dancing, you'd be all like, Yeah, it's my birthday, gonna party like it's my birthday. To the left, now slide. They taught that, because they spoke for God, they could not be wrong about anything, even if it wasn't something from the Bible. Anyone who disagreed with the church could be excommunicated, which the people believed would doom them to hell. The printing press led to more reading, especially reading of the Bible. More and more people began to realize that not everything the church was saying was supported by the Bible. They were also surprised at the way some priests behaved during the Black Death. Some priests refused to meet with people to perform sacraments like last rites. Last rites was seen as necessary for a soul to enter heaven, and the priests were refusing to help. This meant either the church was dooming people to hell, or they were wrong about last rites being necessary. This next section will explain some of the basic beliefs of the Christian Church. It is important to realize that all branches of the Christian Church share the same basic beliefs. Whether a church is Catholic, Orthodox, or any of the Protestant branches, they are still part of the Christian Church. The word Christian simply means a follower of Jesus Christ. All Christian branches believe the Bible is the Word of God, and should be followed. They all believe that there is an afterlife with a promise of heaven. Also, they teach that people need salvation, because they are sinners, and, though they might disagree on how and when to do it, all believe in baptism. It might also help to think of Christianity as a road. In the beginning there is just the one road, the one church. Nobody was considered Catholic or anything, just Christians. Around the year 1000 the East and West churches split. The Western Church became known as the Roman Catholic Church, and the East, the Eastern Orthodox. They had some minor differences, but remained very similar. In the 1500s the Reformation took place in the Western Church. Many within the church had become unhappy with how things were being run. Slowly, they started splitting off to form their own churches. They were still Christian, they just no longer followed many of the laws and traditions of the Catholic Church. The road split off in two different paths that both still exist today. At the time of the Renaissance the Catholic Church was the only church in Western Europe. Over the hundreds of years it existed, the Catholic Church had built up many teachings. For one, they had begun teaching that the Bible was not the only source of God's will, it could also come from church tradition. So, even if something wasn't in the Bible it could still be considered to be God's teaching. They also taught that there were 7 sacraments, which are basically actions that one must go through in life to be considered saved. Salvation then was something you had to earn. The church had also decided that only church workers, clergy, like priests and bishops would be able to make any decisions for the church. Regular people attending the church would not. Finally, the church made it a requirement that all services be taught in Latin, even though most people in the church didn't understand it. Some priests within the church itself started to question some of the teachings. They saw how some members of the church were behaving, and didn't think it represented God properly. As I said before, some of the problems were with church teachings themselves. Priests read the Bible, and when they saw things that went against church traditions, some became frustrated. How could the priests, for example, tell people that all 7 sacraments were necessary when other priests were refusing to perform them? Other priests even said people could do last rites themselves without a priest. That just confused the whole issue.
As conditions worsen, the church too seems to fail its flock. Fearing contamination, some priests refuse to administer last rites to the dead.
Padre, mia Maria e la piccola Anna Mariano bisogno di lei. Le stesso l'ha battezzata.
For medieval people, to die without last rites is a more terrifying prospect than death itself. But as the death toll mounts and more priests succumb to the plague, the Bishop of Bath makes a startling suggestion.
If they are on the point of death and cannot secure the services of a priest, then they should make confession to each other, to a layman, or, if no man is present, even to a woman.